Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another route review. I'm your host Ellis, otherwise known as the Admiral, and this week we're on a route that Jader has created for us, or well, not specifically for us, but Jader has created this. We have known him from several previous routes, all of which have been pretty damn good, so I'm looking forward to this. I've already had the chance to look around a little bit. I already do like this route quite a lot. Not to exclude the fact that it's named the Mattapoisett Peninsula Railway, I'll say that much, and it's taken a cue from the Native American town names, etc., that are very present in the Northeast, among other places, but it's because I've stuck a Wombeck on all of his maps so far. Anyway, so today I did look around to see if there were freight cars to switch out. There is a train, but it's empty. I don't think there are portals. That's going to come into play later. But this route, being so small, does have a chance to get a near-perfect score, but there are a few things that are lacking. I'll get to those shortly. But for those who do not know route reviews, this is one of them. And we have 10 categories, each with a possibility of up to 10 points. Creativity, operations, track work, scenery, content, size, time, stock/era, world, and bonus. It is tough to get 10 bonus points. You really have to go out of your way to do that, but that still means you can get a 90 without bonus points. Unfortunately, that is not the typical score. So let's see if we can head out here. What is this? Okay, that's thrown like that. Alright, water is fine. Let's just stop injecting for now. I'm going to do this in driver mode. I'm not a particularly good driver, but, you know, let's just see. He has some awesome, of course, very pretty, as usual, CN stock. Don't want to go crazy with this. So we're going to have to go and find our passenger cars, and then... Alright, we're good on coal and water, so let's just go. They are over by the station. I think the station should be dead ahead. Yeah, so that's thrown, this is thrown. Yeah, so these are the 20th century switch stands or whatever. Oh, that's right, let me turn the headlight on. They're very nice switch stands. I've used them all over the place. Why am I on this camera mode? Oh, the fact that he has tracking cameras set up, though, that's really cool. Ah. Okay, so we have to go get those coaches. So, I mean, I can go on about how much I typically love Jader's routes until the cows come home, but there are, like I said, a few things that stand out about this. The fact that it's a cute little short line as opposed to a lot of the other stuff he's done, which I know has been, in no small way, totally my fault, because I have been the creator of a lot of his routes, like the maps for them, and so that has led him down a path. But he asked for it. I didn't just say, here's a giant map, go for it. He would say, I'd like a big map, and I would make him one. So, that's on him, really. But I'm going to see what I can do on this route again. It started us with this engine, so we will use it. I don't want to couple too hard, but I also don't want to fall short. Let's have a car length, independent brake. More independent brake. Oh, that was possibly one of the best couples I've ever done. Okay, well, I loaded them because this thing has 2 tracks. So, I was originally going to take them out and then run around the train. and then continue on with my day, but maybe I can just push them down the track. Where is a runaround? Please tell me he put one in. Okay, over here. It's an easy thing to forget, surprisingly enough. You don't think too much about it until you do really need it. And you do really need it. You can't really get away without it. It was an attempt at a proper whistle there. It wasn't a very good one. I'm not sure if the cars are stopping here. I hope they are. I haven't really noticed. Also, this is 5:45 in the morning. Also, I kind of wish these were facing the other way, but we don't have... Oh, we do have a Y. Anyway. So yeah, let's try to talk our way through these categories here. The first category is creativity. Now, creativity is fairly straightforward. It's how much did this diverge from the norm? How much, thought and care in terms of, really going out of your way to make it special or make it unique as going into this. Now, because it's... Oh, I didn't blow the whistle. Because it is a nice little short line railway, I mean, that helps it and it doesn't help it. I mean, a short line, of course, is, people make them a lot. It's a standard gauge line. It's, the CN steam, which is very nice, but there's not really anything unique about it. That said, it is nice to see it in this scenario. Now, the other thing is that there have definitely been pains taken to keep this very in era, very 50s. To the point of using all of the K&L stuff, and even this, which I believe is a CN object, certainly, there, like I said, there's been a lot of care taken here. And the little shoreside town, without getting too into the tropes of it, and all the different mills you have, which some people tend to neglect, it's easy to forget, almost, what goes into this. And I did just jam on the independent, which probably wasn't the smartest thing to do, but let's just set the train brake. Wait until that... There we go. So we're going to run around these, and we're going to head down the line. So, I mean, there's a lot that's helping it here, because it's not just like somebody threw together a little branch line and called it a day. It is, very much that he wanted this specific thing, and he went out and did this specific thing. From the way the buildings are clustered around these intersections, and these areas are left open, and and the different kinds of roads that are used all throughout town, it really does feel real, and that'll come in later. There, especially in this town here, which is Mattapoisett, there is very little that seems out of place, and there's very little that seems wrong. Is this gonna stop? Is he gonna stop? No, these crossings aren't hooked up. That's points off. But, I mean, it is, in a lot of ways, a very generic railroad. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with it. And there have been, like I said, a lot of pains taken to make this a very unique little generic railroad. The industries are all fairly straightforward, but that's okay. They were put together in a way that is, both realistic and unique. The way these tracks sort of curve around here, you've got the tracks that runs down this side and the track that runs down this side. You've got the little coal dock here. There are, like I said, I can't say it enough, though, that there has been a lot of attention given to the way this railroad works. and the way that these things are put together. I mean, I would probably... No, I don't know. This is good. It is really good. It is. This little commercial district, I think maybe it's too big for its britches considering the lack of residential, but down to the drawbridge here on the entrance to this, but there's no major facilities in the port. But I mean, this isn't out of place. It's a really good thing that he paid attention to that, and that there's nothing upriver here that would have to fit under that bridge, you know, etc. And the river goes all the way back to the main portion of the map, which we'll get there eventually. We'll get there sooner or later. So I do love it. Ooh. Okay. Independent break. So let's go back and get our coaches and then head down to the junction. That's something I should try to replicate, the junction. That was a really fun map of mine. It's an old one, but it was definitely a fun map. Alright, let's go grab our passengers. We will stop at the station again before we head down. Yeah, so I don't really know what to give this for a score, because at the same time it is so generic, but at the same time there was clearly a lot of time spent to make this right. And so it wasn't just throwing things together and calling it a day. Obviously there's a lot of creativity here. There's more to creativity than just being different. And so the area up at the junction, I feel like, is the only reason why I don't want to give this thing a 10. Although there is one other reason, and that it does, you know, despite everything I've said, there are, you know, it is still nothing that breaks the mold. It is a very, very good something, but it's still nothing that breaks the mold. That doesn't mean that that's bad, but it does mean that I can't give it the full points for creativity. So I will give it a 9. And I will be very, very happy with giving it that 9. And, you know, the more I look around, the happier this route makes me. Even though there are some things where I feel like they could have been better executed. Okay, I probably should have left the independent on. And now I just pulled the select out. Sorry, I just snapped everybody's neck. Okay. So we're going to head down the track to the station once again. So the next category is operations. And operations is interesting, but it is also very straightforward. And it's even more straightforward than creativity in terms of the grading. It is, do you have what it takes in the route? Or, you know, do you have in the route what it takes to get an AI to run it competently? And I don't mean necessarily doing the AI, because not everyone has the opportunity to do that, although that will help. But I mean, do you have the things you need? And I'm talking track marks, I'm talking signals, I'm talking named junctions, I'm talking named industries, you know, that sort of thing. Did I say track marks? Because track marks, and triggers too. Do you have all that? Unfortunately, as much as I do adore this route so far, it doesn't have much of that. You'll notice, first thing to notice is the switch stands are not named. Second thing is that there are not any track marks on this route. If I go and check this, and I look at the commands that I can give, you'll notice that drive via track mark and drive to track mark, they're there, but I don't have any track marks. So I can't use those commands. So that really limits what you could possibly do with an AI. It extremely limits it, because you can't couple to anything that doesn't currently exist or isn't currently available. And that's like the bread and butter and you can't send the trains anywhere that isn't an industry. That's kind of not good, you know. So there definitely could be an improvement with that. It definitely needs that, but I really need to think about what kind of score do I give this? Because I can't just give it a 0 and call it a day. But there really isn't much to go off of in terms of giving it a good score. I assume all of the industries are named. Let's just check that real quick. Industry names. VA Bakers. I am noticing that some of these things, they don't have... there was one thing that didn't have a multiple industry. It was up at the other end of the line. Also, wait, I don't want to miss this awesome view of driving across this trestle here. Okay, that's enough water. Why do I keep flooding it? Because I keep forgetting. Because I'm trying to talk at the same time. Oh, these cars don't have interiors? Aw. So, operations is kind of a tough one because I don't want to kill this route score by saying, like a 2, but I'm not sure if it deserves really much better. I mean, like I said, it has multiple industries, or it has industries. It has named industries, but that's really all it's got. There are no signals at all. There are no track marks, as far as I could tell. There are no track marks. There are a couple of triggers, but they seem to be for, like, ATLS crossings or something, which aren't working, question mark. And nothing is named. So, aside from the industries, nothing is named. So it's just a shame, but that is really the only area where this route could majorly improve. And so I'm really going to have to give it a 2, because I don't think that there's anything else that can really be done here. There aren't even portals at the exits to the route, at the 2 exits along the main line here. There are no portals, which is a huge, huge missed opportunity. That would at least, allow for some modicum of traffic going up and down the main line, and could even lead to let me do this real quick. Being able to send trains off the map, or have an AI train come on the map, switch out the yard, just take whatever's there and leave its whole consist. That would be really, really simple to execute, actually. It comes into the yard, it uncouples from its train, the engine, brings its train in, uncouples from its train, runs around, grabs the caboose, couples it to the train in a different track, runs around the train again, grabs the front of that train on the other track, and leaves with it. And that's all you have to do. And it can be as simple as, or rather, there doesn't even have to be anything there. It'll just do that automatically. It'll supply you with a new set of freight cars automatically. That would be gold. That would make this route so much cooler. Because it would mean that, even if that train came through, like, once every few hours or something like that, or if it was staged, it would just do that immediately, or then it would wait an hour and then it would do it again. Because how long are you going to really spend in this route? Now that everything has to be toll-grid. It would give you so much more flexibility in terms of what you can do, and it's a huge missed opportunity that isn't the case. And I could program that. I could probably program that in a half an hour it would take me to set that whole thing up. Ideally. It might hiccup if there is nothing in the track for it to pick up. That would be the one thing that it could cause a problem with. And I could rectify that by having the AI train set out a car in that track just for now, After it picks it up, it grabs the front car from its train that it delivered and it puts it on that track. Or it does one thing of switching. Like the engine comes in, it switches out the industry on the main line. Something like that. It would be really simple to make it pretty foolproof. And I'd actually love to try that. Maybe I'll do a stream where I attempt that. Maybe not this week, but at some point. I will. You know what? That's actually a really cool idea. Maybe I will do that if I have the opportunity. Jader, I hope you're listening, because I want to have you in on that stream, so you know what I'm doing. Anyway, the next thing is actually, I won't call it super important, but it's hard to get wrong. It is track work. And for the most part, the track work on this map is pretty good, but there are some weird things. And there's one thing that gets me about this route. And it's the fact that even though everything is basically flat, this is not a dead straight line. Let's look at this real quick. Gradients. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, negative 0.7, negative 0.10. Okay, so there's a little bit of a grade right here. That makes sense. You're coming out of town. You're getting into the flat area. But this is all flat. And there is basically no reason why this wouldn't be a dead straight line if there weren't things in the way. And by things, I mean features, hills, that sort of thing. The railroad, if it was here first, it would have been built in a dead straight line. If it was not here first, it would have bought a dead straight line and built on that. Or at least you'd see it following the edges of things and not just sort of meandering. This is great if you're a river, but if you're a railroad, it doesn't really happen. So, that's my one critique of the track work here. Aside from that, and the fact that there are a couple of turns that are a little bit sharp, but not unrealistically so. This route does pretty well for track work. Jader has never been a slouch on track work, and this is actually excellent. The way, obviously, that's a sharp turn, but it really feels like it's following, like, okay, this is the minimum contour, this is what we're going to have to do. And this seems weird, but apparently this is way more common than you'd expect, from what I've heard. But yeah, no, this track work is very, very good. There's very little I can say to complain about the track work here. And so I am also, aside from that one hitch where it isn't a dead straight line, and it is through here, and that's a really good start, but then you get out of here and it sort of does whatever. And I know dead straight lines are boring, but if you don't like straight lines, design a route that, has a reason to go curved. That has a reason to curve all over the place. A railroad is, by default, going to go in a straight line. So, that's that. So yeah, that's my opinion on the track work. I'm going to give that a 9 because, again, it's basically impeccable. As for the scenery, what is up with the grass over here? This is the one problem I've had so far, or the one problem I'm having right now. Grass doesn't look like this. This is really good with the splines scattered around, but this is not really good, and maybe that's just me and I have like the wrong asset or something, but I will say that that's gorgeous. The problem is it's just really patchy. It doesn't look good. So that's a point off. But almost everything else is impeccable. There's one other thing that I will look at and say, it's not great. And it's all the way down here at the other end of the line, so you almost never will see it unless you care to drive this far. Which, this is not a short distance. This is a really good job in terms of getting it to be the right distance. You've got maybe, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So, it's close to 10 miles, I would assume, between here and there. Really, really good. This is the one place I go, well, this is kind of uninspired. Which, you know, the houses, you don't have, like, lawns or anything here. There's this big empty space where the texture is not great. And you don't have anything bordering this field here, which, I mean, shame on you. You're normally way better about that. Other than that, the scenery's really good. Here you're also missing something. Unless this is supposed to be like a fallow field, in which case I get it, but make that a little more obvious. Yeah, these patches, they could definitely be better. They're nice, but they could definitely be better. If you're going to go with the splines, commit. Do the splines. If not, go get 2019 and do that instead. Oh, that's nice. The thing that I learned, Jader, thanks to Chris telling me this, the yard limit sign actually goes on this side, going in, so it tells you you're entering the yard, not that you're leaving it. That's something I never knew, and I'm not totally sure if it's correct, but it is Chris telling me that, so it's probably fairly accurate. Anyway, let's make sure that we're lined up to get in here. Yeah, no, we aren't. Why would that be set that way by default? That I think is an oversight. That should be that way by default. So you have these two, and then when you throw one, it throws the other. Hypothetically speaking. Of course, they're all ground throws here, so it doesn't really matter. You'd probably have a tower here, honestly. So, anyway. Where's the... Okay, there we go. Where are we? So a scenery, I will give an easy 8. If I could give an 8.5, I might. It's not quite a 9 because of the things that are missing. But it is an easy 8. Now, content. I'm giving Jader a break on this one because he was really, really good about the content. And something went wrong, maybe on my end. I had all the pieces, but the keywords were different. So, it might just be K&L changed things since I downloaded it or he downloaded it or whatever. Which is entirely possible. So, as far as content goes, the only point that I can knock off here, and yeah, I know, I love knocking off points. The only point that I can knock off here is the fact that it uses payware content. And, you know, that makes it, that really helps it in a lot of ways. It makes the railroad really beautiful, and it means you're using really nice content. But it really does throw a wrench in if anyone wants to run it, they have to go and buy stuff for it. Or, you know, run it in its current state. It doesn't overall matter because you are... You know, it's a relatively small route. To seed it yourself would not be overly difficult. And it's just the two engines. But still, I have to give a 9. Otherwise, it's damn near perfect. There's almost nothing wrong with the content. There was nothing that I had to ask for outside of one building and the issues with the engines. Tenders, it was, really. Now, as far as size goes, honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with the size in this one. I'm going to have to give it a perfect 10. It was done really quickly. From what I can understand, it was, you know, he certainly didn't bite off more than he can chew. Jader knows what he's doing by this point, that's for sure. I just wanted to blow the whistle there. Oh, you know what you could have done, Jader? You know what you should have done? You should have decreased the track quality. That would have really sold the idea that this is a 20-mile-per-hour line. Right now, I'm going along pretty smoothly. It feels like I could be rocking along at 40 and not have any problems at all. So that's one thing that I could say about that, or that I should say about that. Anyway, time. Time is the time it took to make the route. Now, again, because this is most applicable in terms of route reviews when we're doing competitions. If you go over the time limit, you get points knocked off of this. But right now, because it is not a timed thing at all, really all I can give is how much time did it take? And this seemed to go by pretty quickly. It just sort of appeared on my radar. So I'm going to give it a 10 for time. It's usually a pretty easy thing to get, unless I've seen the route before. Stock/era. The era is impeccable. Everything belongs here, as far as I can tell. It's clearly a 50s route. Everything seems to be 50s. Nothing stands out, really. Although the coal tower is a little bit too new, it's a CN thing, so I can't complain about it all that much. Also, St. Pierre Junction, of course. Yeah, we're in Quebec. This is the industry without a multiple industry. That's the one issue that I have. So, yeah. That's the one issue that I have in terms of industries. Oh, I love this. Although, this doesn't make any sense. Oh, wait, there's a road here. I was gonna say, this one long dirt road that runs along and whatever. No, okay, there is a road here. There's no crossing boards here, though. You missed that, Jader. You need to put in some crossing boards. Just having the rails go across like this is not good. Even something you can do is add that rails only, the street running spline just from here to here. And that will look fine. But you need to have something. The rails just sitting there is not good. Yeah. Stock and era. Oh, right. The one issue that I have with stock. Unless I'm going to assume that this grain elevator is not supposed to be operable, which I don't think that's the case. The fact that there aren't any hoppers here for it, and there's nothing here for this, there's no boxcar, and the fact that these cars aren't loaded. Those are the only things I can say, and they are very, very minor, so I'm going to give them a 9 for stock and era. Similarly, the only point that I can knock off for world, at least off the top of my head, maybe I can think of some more. Actually, there are a couple more that I can think of. First of all, you got a tree in the river. First of all, there are no portals. That is, like I said, a massive missed opportunity. Kind of disappointing. That goes that way. This comes through here. The fact that this doesn't attach is kind of silly, if you ask me. You've got this road that runs this way, and then another road that runs parallel to it. There should be one that connects like that. I would have run a paved road along the edge of here. And I mean, I probably would have paved this road too, unless there's another road into town that I'm forgetting. But at the very least, I would have run a road along the side of that road there. Oh yeah, this road. Because if you think about it, the railroads tend to follow along the lines of people. People go here. And then the roads, even when they were secondary, they still follow the same sort of lines. The fact that the roads here don't appear to attach to the roads over here, and the road going here doesn't attach to the road over here, that's a little shaky, if you ask me. I don't think it's great. Also, the fact that this river goes this way, and then it must go this way, I guess. But it doesn't go into this watershed here. If you had the river come here and then cross here, I could 100% believe it, and I would love it. Because it means that this river is a tributary of this river, and not a second bay over here. Because to have this do this indicates to me that there's got to be a high point in here somewhere, which there clearly isn't because it's dead flat. Preventing water from this watershed for interacting with the water in this watershed. So that's a couple of points off. The only other thing I can think of is the fact that this river isn't used for anything more than a couple of docks. You know, I don't know. There should be more seaborne industries over here. That is the other thing that I think about this. And, you know, maybe you need... you've got an island out here. Does it have a lighthouse on it? Yeah, missed opportunity. Other than that, there is so much praise I can give this route. I rip it down. I spend my time reviewing by finding what's wrong. But, I mean, by and large, there's so much right with this route. Especially the town of Mattapoisett being just so pretty. You know, everything's there. You've got commercial, you've got residential, you've got industrial, and it's all mixed together in a way that... Hey, that's not good. In a way that actually makes a pretty good amount of sense. So, you know, it's very, very well done. It's very well done. And I mean, I wholeheartedly recommend this route. It is beautiful. Honestly. It just needs a little bit more, and it would be nigh perfect. And one of those things being operations. For operations to be on a route, you know, to get ops points, it doesn't have to have AI trains. It just has to have the things you need to run an AI. And having an AI train, or one or two, especially on a adjoining main line like this, it would help so much. This one other thing, I'm not going to take points off for this. Let me give the 8 for world as deserved. I'm not going to take points off for this right now. But there is one thing that I critique with this, and I can't say too much about it because I did something extremely similar in Mason's Landing, which is the fact that the station is in between the yard and the main line, and that you can't get to the yard from over here. If you had a track that did that instead, that would be worlds better. Or if you just shifted the station to over here. Although I understand that if you're going to have a passenger train pull in here and stop, whatever. Here's what I would do for the AI, and maybe I will do this. I would have a couple of things. I would have maybe 4 trains in total. I would have an express passenger train that can come from either direction, and it just goes straight through. I would have an express freight train that goes in either direction without stopping, whatever you want to do with that. And then I would have the local freight that comes in here and does that little swap that we talked about. Again, it would probably have to pull into here and then, you know, do that swap because there's only one way to get into the yard, which again, that's not great. If you have a train on the main line, you're going to want to come in from here, do your change, and then continue on. Because that's the other thing. If it's just these cars, then there's no reason why that train would not continue down the branch line and switch out the branch line. But if it is these cars and more, then there is absolutely a reason why the train would pull in here. It would drop some cars, pick up some cars, and then leave. Wow, I nailed it. And then leave, but going the same direction it started. So you have the express passenger, the express freight, the local freight, and then the local passenger train, which comes in here. That can be from either direction. It comes in here, it stops, just waits for a second, and then it leaves. That's, unless, actually, this is a platform too. So that's another thing you probably need over here. You need a crossover here, and a crossover over here. And you need the portals. So, with a couple more things, this would be really, really, really good. And also you need signals, of course. Now for bonus points. We've seen pretty much the entire route. So let's talk about the bonus points. I'm going to give a bonus point. This kind of compensates for the one I took away. But for using the KNL CN Steam, because it's all gorgeous. I love it all. Let's see, what else do I have? I mean, what other bonus points can I give out here? Because because I really... Oh, that's a bonus point. That's bonus point worthy. Just the use of the roads in general. The roads, the sidewalks, all of Mason's, Mason's angle parking, for example, all very, very good. I love to see that stuff get used, and you did use it in such a great way. Let's see, what else have we got? Also, there's plenty of other CN Steam to choose from to make those AI trains a reality and fit in really well. And you could also have more than one AI train. One that does... one that does like one set of cars or one kind of cars and one that does the other kind of cars. You could really get elaborate with it, but by and large, you don't need to. Let's see. I think there's another point that needs to be given here for just this town. I love everything about it. It is so pretty. It's got everything, really. It's got all these little details, the boats, although that thing's out of place. The little docks. It makes me so happy, because it really feels like someplace I've been. Also, 3 New York Central boxcars seems a little bit outlandish, but... Also, Madison called the New York Central system crooked, and I loved it. Anyway, just throwing that out there. So yeah, that's another bonus point for this town being this town. I love it so much. But I don't really know what else to give. Nothing else really stands out at me in terms of assets used or in terms of something that was set up. Oh yeah, you know what? Let me give another bonus point for Mattapoisett. I love that. Is this a Rio Grande Tower? Let's see, I know that. That seems a little new. Anyway. Yeah, so I think that's that. Jader, if you have any questions, you know where to find me. I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode of Route Review. Let's tally up the points. Let me grab a calculator real quick. So that was a 9 for creativity, a 2 for operations, a 9 for track work, an 8 for scenery, a 9 for content, a 10 for size, a 10 for time, a 9 for stock and era, an 8 for world, and 4 bonus points. That's a 78. That is pretty respectable in terms of route review scores. So that is a 78. That's almost an 80. Jader, if you did go through and make those other edits, obviously you're not going to do the realignment of the you're not going to do the realignment of the branch line here, because I mean, why would you bother doing that? But if you do such things as, I mean, if you make this road go just up the side of the river here instead, that's one thing, and then maybe connect here, but that, that's unnecessary. But yeah, make it go up the side of the river up to like where a main road would be, and then cross it there. If you have a main road to string along here, of course that's major changes. If you extend this road to here, if you make this cross here, just this diamond here, so you can get into the yard from both sides and add the crossovers and add the signals and add the track marks, everywhere you think you could need them. You make your crossings work. I don't know why they weren't working. But the operations in particular, you got a 2 there. You get like a 9 or an 8 in almost every other category. If you can pull out a 9 in operations, which I know I'm picky about that. I know I am. But that would propel you well into the 80s. And into like the high 80s. And that is a score that is really hard to get in terms of route review, because I'm I'm harsh, I know. Also, other simple thing, load these cars. That way, somebody can come up here, grab this cut of cars, bring it down, and switch everything out. That is the other thing that I would say. Anyway, I do love this route. I'm not sure if it's available, if you can get your hands on it, whatever. I'm sure you can talk to Jader in the fan chat if you really want to get this route. But, this is the kind of little route people should aspire to make. There is so much going on here. There's a little bit more that's necessary, I think. But it is an absolutely beautiful, fantastic route. Jader, you've done it again. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you next week. Trainman out.